All right, welcome to episode 1.
Mass Effect 3.
We're just doing Mass Effect 3?
Yeah. Just Mass Effect 3. Not the whole trilogy.
Where do we start?
Well, I think we should explain how we played Mass Effect 3 as a couple. How we played the entire trilogy as a couple.
Oh, gotcha.
So, we both played at the same time, and I had my own mouse, and we played on a computer, and I made all of the voice choices and, dialogue choices, and the good and bad stuff, and then Ian did all the combat.
And the walking around and all that stuff.
Yeah. My mouse was off most of the time, except for very dialogue-heavy moments.
Yep. And then we both, for the more interesting conversation choices, we both kind of weighed in on it.
Yeah, I definitely asked your opinion for pretty much all the big decisions. So we played FemShep because it was technically my character. She was a redhead with probably the longest neck that they would let me give her.
I don't know if... did we choose to give her a long neck, or is that just the default for FemShep for her to just be a giraffe?
No, for some reason, the outfit when we first made her, and you couldn't see a lot of her neck, so I made it as long as I could to try and see neck. And then later, when she wasn't wearing as, up in her neck area clothes, her neck was ridiculous.
Yeah, and then, I guess the color options weren't very apparent early on, because not until Mass Effect 3 did we realize that she did not, in fact, have brown eyebrows. She had green eyebrows.
Yeah, and she had kind of red hair, so they weren't even auburn. They were just kind of green-hued. And again, we didn't even realize that until nearly the end of Mass Effect 3.
I guess what we're trying to say is we're pretty good at video games.
So Ian played a couple of different classes throughout playing Mass Effect, right? Because you changed your playstyle?
You can switch it up every game. I don't know what I played in the first one. Combat's not really that important in the first one. Second one, I guess I played the sniper class because that was pretty fun in the second one. And then in the third one, I actually hated the class that we started as so much that I used an editor to try out all the classes and then settled on one for the rest of the game.
What was the one you settled on?
I have no idea what the classes are called.
It
was the gun-based one, actually, which is usually the most boring one, but in 3 I actually thought it was a lot of fun.
Till the end of the game when you were like, God, this combat is repetitive.
Well, that would have been the case with pretty much any class.
That's true.
The game really wears out its welcome by the end of it.
At least the combat. I don't think the story necessarily does, though.
Not really.
So I guess we should maybe talk about the story of Mass Effect 3, which has probably the worst opening of any video game I've actually ever completed.
Yeah. Just the opening. Well, this is a Mass Effect 3 podcast, so I guess spoilers are fully on the table.
Spoilers for every episode when we do any review.
Alright, fair enough. Shepard's is trying to escape destroyed Earth, or get on a ship.
Earth is being attacked by the Reapers in the opening.
Yeah, they're trying to move rubble and stuff, but she has to, no joke, she has to stop moving rubble for a bit so she can monologue about how difficult war is.
And then, right as she's getting ready to jump on the ship and leave Earth, she looks back and she sees this little boy get killed, and that haunts her for the rest of the game.
We could go on that tangent for a long time. The opening made me want to fucking die. I almost considered us just stopping the trilogy at 2. After seeing that shit.
I don't understand. I don't understand how they thought that was a good idea. And then at the very end of the game, the finale big moment of the game, that character comes back again, the little boy, and I think we were both just very mad when we saw him. It just doesn't make
any sense thematically. It is ham-fisted and shit.
And I mean, she's been in wars now, and even before really one has started. So why is this one death of a child? Is it because it's a human child? I don't understand. Is it just because Earth's finally being attacked? It doesn't make sense. And it's not good writing. And that's how I feel. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But what makes, I think, Mass Effect, the whole series really, but yeah, the whole series, what makes Mass Effect the series really good is not the gameplay and not even really all the dialogue, it's the actual characters that you interact with. And 3 does a pretty good job of letting you kind of have fun with a lot of the characters you've known already. They do a good job of, like...
It definitely gives you the most time to fuck around and just, like, hang out with the characters. You want to go over the characters? Which ones are good and which ones are boring? Like... Yeah. Because I've got some definite standouts in the shit department.
That's fair.
And
so this is a list essentially of all the characters that are in 3.
So Williams, are you happy you signed on with Commander Shepard?
So we have Kaidan, Alanko, or you could have Ashley.
I'm not sure, Lieutenant. Every time I think I have a handle on things, the universe bank's hard to port.
I really didn't like Ashley in 1, so I let her die in 1 and kept Kaidan, who I romanced in 1, which I, to this day, regret as my decision.
I don't. I'd played 1 before, and I don't remember who I romanced, but it wasn't Kaidan. So it was interesting to see a different option.
He is very boring. I don't know, I also flirted with Liara, and then at some point they made me decide, and for some reason I picked Kaidan, and then by the time I saw him in 2, I was like, well, fuck.
A lot of the characters do feel kind of underdeveloped in 1, so like maybe Liara was just kind of boring in 1 and just becomes a cool character in the later ones.
I will say that I do think that is right, because in 1 I didn't really give a shit about Garrus, and by the beginning of 3, Garrus was one of my favorite characters.
I mean, he really early on in 2 becomes a big, like a really cool character.
Yeah, pretty much the moment you meet Garrus in 2, you're like, oh, he's so fucking badass. Why didn't I hang out with him before?
He's too busy calibrating.
Not in 1. So yeah, Kaidan Alanko is boring and fine. If you romance him in 1 and then when you see him in 2 and you're with Cerberus, he's kind of a dick about it. And that was when I was like, well, fuck you too, buddy. Clearly I don't take rejection very well.
I disagree with your assessment of that situation, but...
Next up we have James Vega.
Okay, loco. Let's dance.
Who is another human. He is only in 3, and he's a Marine, and he is a total bro, and I adore him, actually. I did not think I was going to when we first met him. I was like, oh, fuck, get this guy out of here.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's going to be a character that you're just going to hate, but yeah, he ends up being pretty good. He's written pretty poorly, but you like him anyway. He
grows on you, and he's generally charming, kind of in his own, like, stupid way, which is, sweet in a weird way. He's definitely a bro. But he's your bro, so it's okay.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about him.
And then we have one of the best characters of the entire series, who has been here the entire series, Liara T'Soni.
This is very embarrassing for me, Commander. Please, let's talk about something else.
Who's an Asari. And in the second one, she becomes a Shadow Broker.
I think it's in one of the DLCs. We made the mistake of actually paying money for the first 2 Mass Effects. So the DLC was completely broken for the second one that we paid for. So we didn't get to see any of that DLC. So, yeah, I heard that was cool. Wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, she's a big part in 1. In 2, you don't get to see... Yeah.
Is she a big part in 1?
Because her mom is...
For like a second.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I think she's kind of milquetoast and boring in the first one.
I think she's always charming.
She's one of those characters that gets better as the series goes on.
Definitely. When you see her in 2, you're like excited to see her friendly face and interested in what she's been up to. And then because we didn't have the DLC, we didn't know nearly as much. And then just in 3, she is like such a darling person to have around, and you really come to adore her, I think, more and more. And she and Shepard have a really great relationship and a really great friendship. At least the way we played, because heads up, we always go very, like, nice. What is it called?
Paragon, I guess.
We always go very Paragon.
We're definitely... I don't know if you have to be a certain amount Renegade to get the Renegade options, but we took a few of the Renegade options for the QuickTime event things.
I did kill some people when they were being dicks, and I had the QuickTime moment to do it.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad. But Liara's amazing. A friend of ours who really loves the series always romances Liara, and if I ever replayed 1, I would romance Liara, I think.
I think she would be an interesting romance choice just for the fact that she is present through all 3 of the games, even though she's not a team member on the second one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we get that with Caden to some extent, too.
Yeah, I still think he was a good choice.
That's fair.
As well.
And then we have a total badass, Garrus.
Can it wait for a bit? I'm in the middle of some calibrations.
Who is a Turian, kind of a sniper, really. By 2, he's a sniper, it seems.
No, he's always a sniper.
Even in CSEC?
Like when you first meet him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his loadout in the original game is a sniper rifle and an assault rifle. I think most of the non-biotic classes have, like, 2 main weapons.
Okay.
I can't really remember. Like we said, we played it over a long period of time, so Mass Effect 1 was a long time ago.
Almost a year ago, maybe? Maybe not quite as long.
He kind of starts off as, like, I almost get, like, a gumshoe detective vibe from him in the first game.
I agree.
Maybe we just didn't play the first game right, but I just didn't get a lot from him. Not a lot of dialogue options that actually fleshed him out.
And I also, I think he said something I didn't super love early on when we were talking to him, and then at that point I was like, I'm out. But I do agree, I think he didn't have a ton of dialogue options, and that might have had to do with why we weren't super interested in him in 1. And then in 2, he becomes so great and, funny, and he's always calibrating. And in 3, I was super happy to have him by our side. There's a lot of really great moments in 3 where you get to kind of have one-on-one with your team members in different environments in ways I don't think you really got in 1 or 2. And, I think Garrus and Liara had some of the best, one-on-one moments.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone else that had really good one-on-one moments.
And then we have Edie, who is a Cerberus AI, who now isn't really working for Cerberus, that we met in 2.
Do not worry, Shepard. I only forget to recycle the Normandy's oxygen when I've discovered something truly interesting. That was a joke.
She essentially was the AI of the Normandy ship. She becomes a love interest for Joker, which Ian had known that Joker was going to get a love interest, but he didn't tell me who it was. And I was really excited when it was Edie.
Yeah, it's one of those twists that is just written just to be stupid. It is just terrible. But
they have cute moments.
But it ends up being pretty cool. I like what they do with their character eventually, even though sounds like the worst idea ever on paper. Actually, a lot of the writing of these games sounds like the worst shit ever, because some of it is. I don't think they have very talented writers. I'm going to come out and say that.
I will not inherently disagree. I think sometimes they have really nice dialogue, but it's also surrounded by a lot of clunky dialogue. So those moments probably feel more special because it's good dialogue in a clunky game of dialogue.
It kind of feels like the games are written by fan fiction writers. So, they're really good at writing moments and not good at making overarching stories.
I will 100% give you that. And then next, we have our darling Tali Zora Voss Normandy.
Now we're working with Cerberus?
No, Praza, you're working for me. If you can't follow orders, go wait on the ship.
Who's a Quarian engineer, and just a fucking baller the whole time, kind of. Well, in 1, she's kind of a baby and, just looking for her stuff. But everyone loves her. I think, didn't you tell me that some people were really mad you couldn't romance her?
Yeah, there's a lot of pedophiles out there, so what can you do?
But throughout the game, you really get to see her grow up in kind of a really great way. I think she has probably one of the most fleshed out character development.
She's got the biggest change from when you meet her till the end game. That's pretty cool.
She is crazy smart and just such a kind of proud of her species in a really cool way that doesn't feel like she's shitting on other species. And she deals with there's a lot of family issues in these games. Liara has issues with her mom, Samara has issues with her daughters, Talia has issues with her dad, Miranda has issues with her dad, Grunt doesn't have a family. So it seems like that is maybe an issue someone is trying to work out, or many people are trying to work out in the writing room.
Yeah, pretty much any character that has parents has problems with their parents, because it's pretty edgy and cool, I guess, for fan fiction writers.
And then Oh, one of the best moments with Tally in 3 is that we kind of get to have her home planet back to them. And that was a really, like, lovely moment, I thought.
Yeah.
Again, great moment writing.
3 had a lot of conclusions that were nice to get. Yeah. What Hope just said, there's a lot of great moments. No, just not great overarching. Actually, the more we talk about this game, going into this, I thought I really liked Mass Effect. And the more I think about it, I don't think I like Mass Effect that much. I like it a lot, actually. I like it, but I don't think it's good.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
It's like every good thing that I can think of is like, yeah, that was good.
But
well, except for this part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, but that was really cool. Well, except for the fact that this happened, you know.
And that's why we're not going to be playing the next one. What's that one called?
Andromeda.
We will not be playing Andromeda. Probably.
It's supposed to be even worse than Mass Effect 3, and if that's the case, I don't think it's worth playing.
The next character is Jeff/Joker.
Man, what I wouldn't give to go planetside. Wading through muck, getting shot in the face. Yeah, that is the life.
He was done by Seth Green, who I was a massive fan of growing up, so I'm always kind of here for him. He's the pilot and just general kind of sarcastic, funny guy.
I remember when Mass Effect 1 came out, he was kind of one of the selling points of it.
That makes sense to me given the time frame.
Yeah. Not just like, look at this big name in it, but like just his whole attitude and character was kind of a selling point of like, oh, this game has good acting in it.
And it does have good voice acting. I think the whole series has good voice acting.
Yeah, I can't think of a single character that has bad voice acting.
So.
Actually, it has a bunch of big names. I mean,
Freddie Prinze Jr. is James Vega, which I found out really recently looking up one or two like facts for this show. And I don't know why that made me super happy, but it did.
And when I shrugged at who he was, I was just like, who? And he's like, you're like...
Buffy's husband. But then I showed him a picture and he remembered who he was.
No, I've never seen him.
Yes, you have.
A movie before. Not that I remember. What movie
I know what you did last
in?
summer.
He was in that. Who was in that movie? Who remembers who was in that movie?
Other people.
Who gives a fuck who was in that
Jennifer
movie?
Jennifer Hewitt, too.
We're covering some good media on this show.
Next up, we have David Anderson, who is another face that you've seen pretty much the whole series, particularly most, I think, in 1 and then again in 3.
Join my crew and help me stop the collectors.
I'm too old to go racing across the galaxy. Much as I complain, I've got an important job to do here. The front line. That's got to be yours.
He's kind of who promotes you or who pushes you to be a Spectre, who kind of like speaks on your behalf in the beginning of 1, and becoming a Spectre is really how 1 starts off.
He was going to be the first human Spectre.
Yeah. And then they gave it to us.
Well, yeah, years back, he was going to be the first one and didn't make it.
That's right.
Because of Saren.
Fucking Saren. That's stuff from 1. But he's great, and he is just kind of like a fatherly figure that is always nice to see throughout the game. Whenever we see him, I'm always like, hey, Sanderson. I'm happy to see him.
Yeah, he's a good running character.
And then next we have Stephen Hackett.
Stand fast. Stand strong. Stand together. Hack it out.
And you know that we looked up the names of all these people because Hope just called him Stephen Hackett. Who the hell is Stephen Hackett?
It's Hackett. Hack it out.
I don't think in the whole game you hear his first name.
He's another human. He's an admiral. He's kind of holding the fort down on Earth along with Anderson, but he seems to be higher up than Anderson. He's the one you talk to a lot.
I don't think he's on Earth.
Yeah, isn't he?
I don't believe Hackett's on Earth.
I think he is, because she's like, how are things going on Earth?
When
they talk.
When she talks to Anderson. No, he's one of the generals for the Alliance. I think he's just in space a bunch.
Oh.
He's like heading the fleets and stuff.
Well, we never
like
see him in fucking person until the end of the game anyway, so it doesn't super matter where he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we always loved that he ended every like VidCon like thing with hack it out.
Hack it out.
And it made us very happy.
Every single time he left, we would repeat "hack it out."
Hack it out.
And we'd throw like finger signs, like "hack it out."
Hack it out.
Because we're dumbasses.
Yeah. And then we have from 2 the elusive man.
Cerberus was supposed to be humanity's sword, not a dagger in our back.
Poetic, but as usual, you missed the point. The world is more gray than you care to admit.
Who is a human and a piece of shit and is in charge of Cerberus, and I killed him with one of like the renegade moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because fuck him.
Which is pretty satisfying. I'd say he's a pretty good villain because you can definitely see where he's coming from, and it makes a lot of sense up until
the end of 3, where he goes
getting
way
into
too
Mass
far.
Effect 3, because they don't know how to write anything. So they made a good character, and they're like, hey, but what if, instead of making good decisions that you disagree with, he just makes bad decisions that just make no sense?
That's fair.
So then you can give him a kill.
You do
feel good about it.
You do get to kind of go in the room that you talked to him in a lot into at one point in 3, and that was kind of a nice little moment. Again, great little moments in the game that is overall garbage.
Yeah, it was a cool moment, and then it was immediately followed by him showing up and explaining the dumbest plan on the planet, and then being
in the
like,
galaxy.
Yeah. Followed by the worst boss fight in any of the Mass Effect games.
With Eiling.
There's only one way this ends.
It's the worst video game trope ever for boss fights, and it's you can only damage them at a rate that the game wants you to damage them. So it doesn't matter how much damage you do, they're invulnerable while they're, I don't know, waiting to get to their next phase.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Why is Kai Lang even a character? He's kind of cool in the fact that he moves insanely fast, but he says stupid shit, and like I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing. Is it just because he works for Cerberus and I guess he believes in it? But he doesn't have a personality.
He is literally a nothing personnel kid character.
Mm-hmm.
Teleports behind you.
Says a dumb line. He's just like a shitty emo kid with powers. Is how I feel. And then another Cerberus person we have is Miranda Lawson.
I don't have patience for incompetence or recklessness or heroes.
Who is from 2 and then shows up again in 3.
They lay it on heavy with this character in 3. Like, from everybody I've talked to, she got a really bad reception in 2, and nobody really liked her. And then they came in strong with Mass Effect 3 because they know we loved her. They know we wanted more Miranda, so they gave us Miranda missions. They gave us thousands of them, 100 hours of Miranda, one-on-one with Miranda. Miranda being elusive for no reason.
Miranda with her sister. Miranda killing her father. Or us killing her father.
Miranda.
Yeah, Miranda killing her father. But I felt in 2, I was like, am I supposed to like her? I kind of like her, but also she kind of pisses me off.
It's just difficult being so perfect all the time.
Yeah, I don't understand what.
And that's her whole character.
Yeah, but I don't know. I liked that we got to see like the end of her whole story with her dad in 3. If we're gonna have her in the game, we need to have that. Does that make sense to you? Do you agree?
Yeah, but we see her conclusion like off screen, and it's like
no, we're
not really even a conclusion.
She kills her dad.
Yeah, yeah, we get to see it on like a 1080 like shitty monitor, and it's already happened.
No, well, like it happens in a cutscene, but we're there.
Are we?
Yeah.
That shows how much I remember of her fucking stupid story.
And then next we have a character who I low key was almost done with this game when he died in 3 is Morden Solis.
You planning to stick around when this is over?
Until Reaper's dealt with, at least. Then, not sure. Have made impact on Galaxy. Genophage modification, genophage cure, work against collectors, decisions, mistakes. Might go somewhere sunny, sit on beach, look at ocean, collect seashells.
You'd go crazy inside an hour.
Might run tests on the seashells.
He's a Solarian scientist that you meet in 2, and at first I was like, is this guy just fucking crazy? And then I fell in love with him.
I think he's pretty much consistently the best character. I don't think he has any bad spots.
Yeah, like, he's a really strong character the whole time.
He has no inconsistencies in his character.
He's voice acted great. He's funny in his own like weird ironic way and like not trying to be funny a lot of the time. And you kind of fall in love with him, and then when he dies, but like in a way that I feel it's fair to his character because he's dying to kind of in the genophage which he helped created. And it feels like he was happy with that ending.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a bullshit like surprise death that comes out of nowhere, and instead of him just like going off and dying off screen, like you actually get to see him in his last moments. And,
singing his song.
And he's yeah.
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asari, and Batarian.
It's a good scene. Good character.
So sad.
Bad game.
And next we have my favorite character of the entire series. I want a plush of him, or not, Rex.
Who's that?
He's a Prothean.
Sometimes I'm not sure if the Normandy's a warship or a traveling freak show.
I wrote down that he is just the Krogan King, because that is essentially who he is.
Shepard.
In 1, he was my total bro, and I will never forgive the game for making me pull a gun on him in a cutscene, because we are bros and I would never do that to him. That is not the relationship we have built. Fuck you. Mass Effect.
It's just another example of just like bad writing. It doesn't make any sense.
For a game that wants to like give the player control, give the player control of the character that they are, they take that control away a lot of the time in moments where I feel like I really want that control now, and you're taking it away from me.
But they will give you a dialogue option to do a sassy quip like anytime you want.
Oh yeah.
All the sassy quips you want, but if you want to not pull a gun on one of your allies, fuck you.
Too bad.
That's a plot point now, idiot.
Yeah. So Rex shows up a little bit in 3, and every time we saw him I was just so fucking happy because he's my favorite. And just a total bro. He also has such a great, like, not only is the genophage cured and he gets to be a part of that, and that's like so great for his people and all of that, but he gets to like be with Eve.
Our species will find its balance again.
Who is a another Krogan, and she is now like quote unquote cured of the genophage before like the entire cure got released. And then at the end of the game, in one of the cutscenes for our ending, you get to see that they have a baby.
It's just like a little swaddled toad.
And I
Very
fucking
cute.
love it. You also get a scene with him where he comes to the Citadel and he's at a bar and he's just fucking exhausted from fucking, because now everyone's just trying to have babies all the time because they can have kids again. And I have never loved him more.
Everybody wants to have babies with the new leader of Tuchanka.
Yeah, Rex is the best.
Yeah, I'll say his character, that's another one of my favorite characters. He's fairly one note, but at least they knew who he was from the very beginning to the very end. He's not all over the place. He makes sense as a character. He actually has quite a bit of depth as well, but it's not like big revelations that are changing his character forever or any of that bullshit.
Yeah. And then another Krogan that we have is Grunt, who we met in 2.
I'd never stab you in the back, Shepard. Warriors like you and me, straight to the face. Kidding.
Who is like a genetically engineered Krogan.
And can we both agree that Grunt is really, really boring when you first meet him?
Yes.
And then ends up being
great.
A great character.
Yeah. I think he's really great in 3 whenever you get him, because he's kind of now accepted into Krogan society, whereas initially they were just like, you're a tank born, blah, blah, blah. But he's really proven himself, and he's kind of in charge of like a little section of people near the end when you're fighting. And it's really great to kind of see him come into his own / just be really accepted and really excel. And that was fulfilling. I love him.
Yep, a lot of good moments.
And then we have one of Ian's probably least favorite characters, and maybe one of mine too, Jack.
I go hunting. Anyone who's screwed with me pays.
Who is a human. You can go on.
Can we just admit that she's just a badly written character? She's just like an edgy teenager with psychic powers.
And I hate her outfit.
Except she's an adult. It feels like she was written by an edgy teenager. No, she is the human version of a Sonic fanfiction character. She is Jack the Echidna. She has psychic powers, except she's a human. It took her a full game and a half to have one redeeming scene.
I agree with that. I liked some of the backstory they gave her, where it was like she was tortured and blah blah blah, and that was interesting.
I have never heard that. That has never been in a piece of media before.
I know.
That is Nobody's ever done that.
The mission where you go back to her, like the place where she was, though, is, I think, kind of interesting. But I do agree that overall I don't give a shit about her.
The highest praise in the game she's introduced is she has one mission that is, and I quote, kind of interesting.
But then in 3, you kind of get to see her grow, having grown as a person. Now she's in charge of all these other kids with the powers. And that's cool. And I was like, oh, hey. But again, you don't get much for her. And I think what you do get of her is like the perfect amount for 3. Just enough to be like, hey, remember this character? Here's a little throwback. And goodbye.
Yeah, I have literally nothing else to say about her.
And then next up is one of my other favorite characters, the person I romanced in 2 and would have in 3 until they killed him. I did in 3 until they killed him, which is Thane Krios.
Thinking about a moment brings back the smell of cut grass, the warmth of another's hand on yours, the taste of another's tongue in your mouth. Wouldn't you rather lose yourself in such a memory than spend the night alone, staring at walls of metal and plastic?
Who was a Drell assassin.
Who very easily could have been the nothing personnel kid type character.
But it's not.
But managed to actually not be. Not only that, I don't think Drell are mentioned like at all in the first game. They're definitely not shown. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden we have this new race. It's actually an interesting race of alien.
Really interesting the way they look. I really love the way Thane looks. And kind of his whole backstory is also, I think, not like shockingly new revelation, but like it's nice. It's like, you know, he was an assassin and then someone like ended up assassinating like his wife, and that really made him be like, I maybe should not do this. This isn't great.
No, I think his wife stopped him from doing an assassination.
That's how they met.
Yeah.
But then she died. I think she gets assassinated as a like
yeah,
payback.
She does. Yeah.
And then and then you have a moment with his son in 2 where he gets to see his son
he's
again.
got a shitty backstory, but
I don't agree with shitty.
Really? It's like the most like
These are tropes for a reason.
She taught me not to kill, but then she got killed.
Yeah, I get it, but I love him. And I won't take criticism lightly.
They accidentally wrote him well.
He's super handsome too. Dapper.
Yeah, he's cool.
I loved him a lot. He has it's just a Drell disease, Drell specific disease, right? That's killing him.
Yeah, I believe so.
And so you know in 2, as you're even romancing him, that he is kind of dying. He has a disease, and then in 1, he's on the Citadel in the hospital ward section. I'm sorry, yeah, in 3, he's in the hospital ward section, and you can go visit him, and eventually he will die. But I feel like they handle all of that kind of with a level of respect that is almost shocking from the series.
I don't know what to say. Sometimes they manage to write good scenes, and I just
really good.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. I will say, as someone who does write, scenes are way easier. Writing just a good scene is way easier than writing a whole arcing story, I think. Or at least it is for me.
Maybe they just wrote some scenes and handed the rest off to the interns.
God, the internship at BioWare would be interesting. And next up we have Samara.
I answer to a code that is clearly defined. If my actions are true to that code, I am just. If they are not, I am unjust.
Who's an Asari Justicar, who you meet in 2, and she kind of shows up a couple of times, is peppered into 3. And I really liked her in 2, and I like her in 3.
I like her as well. She's pretty one note.
Very stoic.
She fills a trope that is not. It's definitely done a lot. It's like she's the paladin trope. She is the, justice above all else.
Mm-hmm. As a Justicar, that's her gig.
But I don't think she was done poorly. I don't think she was annoying in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked her quite a bit.
Yeah, and you get to see her in 3, and she has a moment with her 2 daughters, which you've heard about. And again, they do a good job throughout 3 of kind of wrapping up these character stories in a way that can feel really fulfilling and is nice. They try to give, I think, the audience what they think they want in a lot of ways, which I think can be nice, even if it is pandering. And then next up, we have Legion.
This is new data. We have not yet reached consensus. We will process as the mission proceeds.
Who you also meet to, who's a Geth. The Geth are like the main enemies of 1.
And 2.
And not really,
3,
only a little
like
bit in 3.
Quite a bit in 3. Yeah, that he exists as a character, it's actually pretty cool. I think he's handled really well. The whole thing about why he exists actually, in universe makes sense.
Will you go on
They
into
justify it. What's that?
Why does he exist in the universe? Will you elaborate?
Just so the Geth are all these AIs that their whole thing is that if they're near each other, they can work together. They can think together. So the more Geth there are, the smarter they are. And then at some point in the Geth history, when they broke off, they didn't all make the same decision. So Legion represents all the Geth that didn't split off into this their own
Support Saren,
thing.
right?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, and then essentially they're all housed in just the one old Geth unit. So that's pretty cool.
And by working with Legion, you get all of those Geth, essentially, and then really all the Geths on your side to help fight the war in the end. And a lot of these characters are ways to help you kind of gain forces into the final battle by working with them. But Legion being in 3 leads to the worst mission in 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's the worst for purely gameplay reasons. I don't even care to get into it. It's one of those things where you just have to do something really annoying to, like, get an audio clip to play or a cutscene to play, and then go do that really annoying thing again to get another cutscene, and just do that a few times, and then the mission's over.
Yeah, I think the cutscenes that we got from it were nice, but the entire gameplay, the doing the thing, was ham-fisted and stupid, and just didn't look fun to watch in any way. I know you did not have a good time playing it that time, so that mission sucks.
And it's already getting to a point in Mass Effect 3 when you're doing that mission where you're already getting sick of playing the damn thing. Because it's got the most repetitive, stupid combat, cover-based bullshit. So you get one mission that's not cover-based bullshit, and they manage to make it worse than everything else in the game, just to fuck with you.
Yeah, and then the last character I think we really want to talk about is Steve Cortez.
Commander. Sorry, didn't see you there. This is a recording from Ferris Fields. Months ago. I lost a lot of friends that day. I lost my husband.
Who is one of the pilots for, like, the little ship when you go down to planets.
Like the little landing craft or whatever. It actually plays a pretty big role in the game, just getting you in and out of stuff. He's just always there. So the fact that instead of just being like the main Joker,
or just a character that's nothing.
I don't even remember who
did
your landing. I think in previous games they just brought the whole Normandy down.
It did. That does feel right. Feel like correct memory.
So this character, actually fit a role in the game itself, and then on top of that, he actually ended up being a pretty deep character that was interesting.
Yeah, I really loved him. He was like Hispanic and gay, and had lost his husband, who was, I believe, another Marine as well, and was still healing over that, and you get some really lovely moments with him. He just seems like a nicely, like, not intensely deep, you're not going to uncover intense layers of his character, but you get to know him well, and it's nice.
It's kind of interesting, because he's, like, the whole other side of the coin. So, like, on one hand is Shepard stopping to monologue about how difficult war is, and then there's him, like, silently mourning his husband who, like, just died not that long ago in a very well-written way, versus Shepard saying, I just never expected it to come to Earth.
Which, like, why not?
Or, like, I don't even know what the lines were.
No, but
it's just like that. It's just, and it's so close to home now. She hasn't seen a million people get their brains exploded
and
1 inch from her face.
Yeah. I think the character Shepard that we created through our dialogue is much more like the silent, strong type, blah, blah, blah. But the character that the game makes exist, regardless of what you want, is the war is so hard, I'm going to monologue. Even if she's not necessarily saying that to anyone else, that is a point that they want the player to be aware of. And, like, I don't think Mass Effect needs to be gritty. It's never been gritty.
If you don't choose that monologue option, they'll choose it for you. Mass Effect 3.
Yes. And then, meanwhile, Cortez is silently actually going through stuff. And then there's a part near the end where some of the casualties of the war that is currently going on with the Reapers. There's like a wall of memory and stuff like that. And he is like not sure if he should put up his husband's photo. And she's like, you definitely should. He is a victim in the same way. And that was really lovely.
Well, one of his main points was the difficulty of moving on.
Yeah.
Versus like
not forgetting.
Yeah. You know, just because you're moving on doesn't mean
that you're over it or that you've forgotten them, or like because it's like, yeah, it's a very universal feeling.
It's very real. It's not overdone.
Not ham-fisted. Handled very nicely.
Very easy to
understand and relate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very relatable, and somehow written by the same people that think monologues about how difficult war is fits right in that narrative.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I think another thing I do want to talk about, since we've covered most of the characters, and we're covering the characters in this episode so heavily for Mass Effect 3 because they are really what makes the game at all worth it.
It's the only notable part of the game. Mass Effect, I mean, every game's combat got better than the previous one, but God, the bar was so low. It was so low, so who really cares? And then, other than that, there's just... The game has terrible animations all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
Can I say that? It's just really janky, like, not quite, like, Bethesda level jank, but pretty bad.
Yeah, you'll be, like, a close-up on Shepard's face during a cutscene and someone else is talking, and then she'll, like, move, and, like, sometimes textures load weird or don't load.
Or characters walking through solid objects in pre-planned cutscenes.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't the game come out in, like, 2014?
No, 2012. March
the
of 2012.
year of our Lord, 2012. And this shit is happening?
And then also there's one of my favorite moments is that we're in like the kind of cruiser thing that Cortez drives and you're having a cutscene and then you kind of see at one moment that Garrus is in the background T-posing.
I couldn't tell if he was like T-posing or was he like hanging on to something that wasn't there.
I don't know, but it was great.
And then people sliding around without walking animations and like shit like that.
Yeah, in one of the missions near the end, we got in an elevator, and usually when you get in an elevator, when the doors close, the other characters, even if they didn't walk in with you, appear, and then you go up together. But the other characters didn't appear, and we were like, oh, did we lose them? Do we not have to get them back? And then when the elevator opens on the next floor, they're just standing there, and I was like, oh, okay, they took the stairs.
Yeah, they took the stairs, and they took them fast.
I also think, I will say this for Mass Effect, I think 2 does it as well, and 3 does it, I think, really well on the overworld map. The sound they give the Reapers is really scary in a way that I don't think ships are normally scary to me. Also, they give them like a almost like a squid-like shape for the Reapers.
I think the Reapers are really, really well designed.
I do too.
I'm glad you brought that up because like it's maybe the only game I've ever seen where a ship or a robot is actually genuinely intimidating.
Yeah, terrifying.
I wouldn't say they're like the scariest thing ever, but they're definitely intimidating.
And they're definitely well done. I think, like, as someone who is literally afraid of giant squids, that's like a number one fear. I was not stoked about them and the way they looked. And then the brrrr sound they give them really does get you in a very like visceral way, I think. Mm-hmm. On a level that I think if a horror movie did something like that, I would be impressed. So I think that is really well done. You do get to meet... What are they called for the guys who created the Reapers? Are they just called the creators?
Wasn't Leviathan one of those?
Leviathan is one of them.
They are only echoes. We existed long before.
Then what are you?
Something more.
I don't know if the name of their race is specified. If it did, it's something that I forgot.
Yeah, same. But you get to meet them, and they made the Reapers in their own form.
Oh, speaking of previous cycles of aliens, I don't blame us for forgetting him, but we totally forgot about the character Javik.
In my cycle, your kind were nothing more than appetizers. Would you prefer to be boiled or fried?
Holy shit, we did that.
Because he's boring. It's such an interesting idea to have like one remaining Prothean that's like been tucked away and now they're back. And
we should maybe briefly discuss what Protheans are, even though I know this is a spoiler.
It doesn't matter.
Well, but like they're a massive part of
context clues. They're old aliens.
Yeah, but they're also like a massive part of kind of the story that you get in 1 and 2, and then to meet one, is so crazy, and you're like, oh my god. And like Liara is like a historian kind of style, or like a researcher into Protheans, so she's super excited. And then he's kind of a dick, and she sees things very black and white, and was like a fighter for the as a Prothean fighter, so he doesn't give her any of the information that she would be really interested in,
which is a good idea.
Yes.
Actually, it's a really cool idea to like finally unearth a Prothean, but they're not a scientist, they're not a historian, they're a soldier, and they don't know shit about shit.
Yeah,
is the ultimate. Like,
I mean, it's way easier to write that way.
what a twist!
But also,
he's got nothing.
Yeah, but I feel like Liara is so like disappointed in meeting him and the way things go, and I'm like, yeah, me too.
No, but that's cool. But that's not what makes him bad. What makes him bad is he's just a boring character.
He's super boring, and he's kind of a dick.
There's a lot of characters that are kind of a dick.
Yeah, but usually I feel like they have more rewarding other things, and he doesn't.
Did we forget any other forgettable characters?
Probably. Oh, I do still want to talk about the creators, though, because they made the Reapers in their own form, and one of the missions, you go like deep underwater and meet them, and there's like at least 3 at one point. Yeah, you meet him, and then before you go up, there's like 2 more.
Really?
Yeah. And I hated it. I was so scared. I hated being underwater. Everything about that mission, I was like, this could not be happening, and I'd be fine. But I think they flesh out kind of the universe's history more and more, and that is interesting.
It sure was kind of interesting.
It sure was kind of interesting. I think we should also maybe talk about the final battle, and the final decision, which is like everyone hates, after this break.
Alright, so, the endings.
They're bad.
What is there really to say about them? Pretty much out of nowhere, under circumstances that don't really feel like they fit the series, you get to choose one of 3 colors.
One of 4, technically, endings.
Whoa. Whoa-wee. So actually I did a little bit of reading about that. So not only was what we saw an extended ending that they added in like a DLC or something.
For the refusal?
No, for all the endings were extended to be more substantial. Also, the refusal ending was added. But yeah, you get to choose one of 3 colors. It irreparably changes the universe, which is not bad for an ending. It's just that these things didn't seem like they came from anywhere. Like,
yeah.
Did you feel like any of these endings were hinted at or built towards or anything throughout the trilogy?
No, but I think they tried to make it like a thing where as the fucking stupid child that you saw die in the beginning, as now a weird blue incorporeal figure, explains, like, you see like the choice that the elusive man would take, you see the choice that Anderson would take, and then you see the middle choice, which is what we took. And they show you them in a way that, like, oh, this is what that person would pick, and whose side are you on, blah blah blah. But there's no way you saw any of that coming, and the whole game is set up that just we will defeat the Reapers, and then life can continue, and along the way we made a lot more peace between the different races. And now it's just like, that's not an option. Which is frustrating.
It is an option. One of the options is destroying the Reapers, but you also destroy all the other synthetics.
Yeah, the one we chose. Oh no, that's the one. No, you're right.
That's the red ending.
That's the ending that Anderson would pick. Yeah. They show you Anderson choosing. The red ending is destroys all synthetic, which would include your friends like Edie, and stuff like that. And then the blue option is the option the elusive man would choose, which is to like control the Reapers. But you end up disappearing, but your controller, right? Or your mind stays in all of them?
It turns you into a ghost that goes into the Reapers. I don't fucking know.
It's so stupid.
It melts you down into Reaper juice and shoots you over.
And then the middle option, which is the one that we did decide to choose, is essentially to like sacrifice yourself.
All the robots in the universe get an understanding of biotic people or biological people. And then all the organics in the universe get robotized. All the leaves are computers now.
And there's this weird sheen over everyone after another cutscene. It doesn't make
sense. It sends out a pulse that turns things into computers.
I don't know.
What is that even? What?
That is not explained because they don't set up these endings
It's not explained because it even in universe doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that's the one we chose, but as we were, slowly walking that way or whatever, Ian in his normal form jokingly turned around and shot at the dumb fake kid thing, and it was like, was it what does he say?
So be it.
And then it's like, that is the fourth option that apparently they added later, where you were just like, no, fuck you, and instead the Reapers just kill everyone.
Yeah, it is the most. I'll have to say it's the most Shepard ending of all the endings, where it's like, no, we're gonna win no matter what. We can't lose. If we feel it enough in our heart, we can't lose. And then you doom the entire universe because you're a fucking idiot.
I will say I liked how the refusal ending handled itself, which is that it's just like a hologram thing of Liara being like, "Here's the story of the war and how everything fucked up. Thanks, Shepard." Not quite as sassy, but that is what you get. We watched on YouTube, obviously, all the endings. We did not play this game 4 times. No.
We wouldn't have had to play it 4 times. We just would have had to go through the end.
I don't think we had the energy.
Yeah, we just...
we YouTubed, and even then we scanned through for the shit that was just the same in every cutscene.
I hardly had the energy to watch the finishing. God.
You were so over it? I know.
It's... Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say about Mass Effect 3. Do you have anything else to add?
I think for people who are interested in it, if for some reason you're listening to this and you haven't played them, I do think if you're interested enough in a story-driven game that can get repetitive and can have kind of crappy combat, then it can still be worth playing. I don't think this game is garbage. I think that it does a lot of things right. I do think 3 is, writing-wise, probably the worst, even though I think 2 is probably the least interesting to me story-wise and character-wise, because I
disagree. I think it has some of the better character development in 2. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't care as much about, like, Jacob or Miranda. Jacob, who is another character we did forget about.
We did forget about. Yeah, I knew we were going to forget another boring character. Yeah, Jacob.
We probably forgot others.
We talked about all his character traits by talking about the other characters.
Yeah.
He's a military man. He has a parent, and guess what?
Issues.
Daddy issues. So surprise.
Yeah. I did I liked the mission. I do tend to enjoy what are they called, loyalty missions for each character. Mm-hmm. I do tend to enjoy those. But again, as someone who was here for the story, that makes sense. And I think that I think Mass Effect does a lot of things right. If you want to play the game, if you're interested in the story, I say for sure play it yourself or watch a Let's Play or something.
And even though we just laid down a bunch of spoilers,
there's so much more to it.
It so doesn't matter. Because,
yeah.
At this point, everybody should know that Mass Effect has the worst ending ever. And
for the series.
Just goes to shit. So...
And then everyone, lost their shit with how bad Andromeda was. So, it didn't... Obviously, they didn't ever fix it. Get better.
No. Alright,
I will say, little side note, sorry. It's really fun to play with someone, kind of the way we did it. So if you are with a friend who is like that, or you're in a relationship where someone is more into the combat-y stuff, and it's something you think you would enjoy together because it is a long game, I had a really good time playing it with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, yeah. Especially the way that we did it, with splitting up things in the game, and then, talking about whatever. That was fun.
Good
overall,
conversation.
Before we started recording this podcast, I would say that I thought I liked the Mass Effect series quite a bit. And then thinking about it and talking about it right now, I think I've come to terms that I don't think I like the Mass Effect series.
And I think talking about it more has made me realize how much I do love parts of it. It makes me want to defend those parts of it, even though I know that it is a flawed game. But that is also inherently... This is kind of who we are as people, and this is a good example of who we are and people and how we feel about things. Is that I tend to cling on to things I love in media, and will defend those things at the very least, while maybe acknowledging that something is not good. and you are more likely to, I think, be like, it's not worth it for those moments.
There's a lot of media out there, and a lot of it's good all the way through. It's anything that's not good all the way through. I mean, it's not that it's not worth experiencing at all. It's just it's just lower down on my priority list.
That's fair. But yeah, that's just I think this is a good example of who we are as people and how we tend to like things and how we tend to view things.
All right, Mass Effect, the trilogy. Can you give it a rating out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
6.5 or 7. 7.
Yeah, you're pretty much where I'd be. I'd give it a 6 or a 7 as well.
Yeah, because it's not broken. I mean, there are games out there right now on AAA games that are fucking unplayable and shit like that. Like,
yeah, you can play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You will be enjoying yourself.
Parts of it.
At least half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mass Effect 3.
That's Mass Effect 3.
Thank you for listening. This has been
a couple reviews.
This podcast.
Thanks for listening to our first review on Mass Effect 3. We're going to review Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which we saw in theaters with Ian's little brother. No, we know we got all of the names wrong. We had just seen the film, and we came home and recorded and didn't do any research to prepare. So it's very off the cuff. Enjoy.
Do you want to see a haunted house?
Yeah.
Punk ass white girl.
Fuck you.
Some good deck.
DAC.
Not keeping any of this.
Please.
Could that be the cold opener?
Yeah. It's for a part 2 of the episode. So we have a special guest with us in our first episode. You know you should start things like that. This is Ian's little brother, Eric.
Hey, my name's Eric.
We call him Little Eric because there are 2 Erics in this life. And only 2.
On the planet.
Only 2.
So we all went to the Alamo to go see scary movies to tell in the dark. That is not how you start.
I think it's just called Scary Stories.
Scary Stories to tell in the dark.
Scary movies to tell in the dark.
I think the official title.
That's what I said.
My brain is too fried after watching that movie to, actually process anything fully.
First of all, I feel betrayed by Guillermo del Toro, who helped screenwrite and produce this film.
Can I get that name one more time?
Guillermo del Toro? Do I say it wrong?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, whatever you said the first time.
Guillermo.
You have to pronounce every single letter.
Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro.
Don't make fun of Totoro, okay?
Gary Totoro made this movie all by himself.
No, he
and he
didn't.
made it a piece of shit.
It is really bad. I understand why this movie got made, because of money, but I also don't understand why this movie got made, because someone should have stopped it at some point.
It should have never been created. It was so goddamn bad. Oh my god.
Well, where do you start?
That's
with a movie like this. I think let's start with the elephant in the room, the pedophilia.
It's not pedophilia. It is.
Every time Ian loves to talk about pedophilia. For a guy who isn't pedophile, he sure loves to talk about pedophilia.
The main love interest is 18 or easily 19.
He's 18.
He's 18.
He got his summons 2 months ago, so he's 18.
He's 18, and the main girl looks about 14 or 15.
And the actress is 17 in real life.
And we know is not a freshman, so not in 9th grade.
Because we have a reference to previous 9th grade years.
Possibly going in as a junior or senior.
I think she's going in as a senior or is a senior.
Yeah, I think she's going in as a senior. Because the douchebag of the movie was talking about, or it mentioned that they wanted to, when he went missing, somebody was like, "You wanted to go shoot commies, so he probably just left." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So he's a senior.
So only a senior. And
so,
he didn't,
So,
also, this is happening during Halloween. We're acting like it's the summer because they're never in school.
So the bullies are clearly like a grade older than them, which makes them seniors.
So they're juniors.
They're juniors. How old are you when you're a junior? Like 16 or 17?
16, 17.
She looks about 15 years old.
Okay, just because she looks young does not
Okay, I'm 18,
can tell
I'm
her.
18 and I look like a 12-year-old girl.
It's
so.
true.
Well, what can you do?
I look like a 6'2", 12-year-old girl.
Cut that out.
No. It's the best description of me.
Don't worry, there's nothing getting cut out. None of this is salvageable.
I think there's nothing actually wrong with any of the acting. None of it's like...
The actors are pretty okay.
Yeah. The main girl was, I thought, honestly, just good.
Yeah, all the actors were good.
I found the cop to be annoying.
Why was he such a dick?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Why was he such a racist dick?
Like, he had very few scenes, and all of the scenes he was just like a dick, but like an uncomfortable dick in the room.
Was he acted poorly, or was he like written poorly?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't tell. Yeah, I think it's both. I think he was probably maybe the weakest actor, which is like somehow unexpected considering he's like the only real adult of the cast that you really interact with, excluding her dad.
Yeah, and her dad is an actor from something I know I've seen him before.
He was fine.
Yeah.
I don't understand why there was so much stuff in the movie that just didn't need to be there. Like, why is there the racist tension about the guy being Mexican? Like, Tommy the Bully writes wetback on his car and, like, fucks up his car. Like, the cops, like, I guess it's because he's, like, clearly a draft dodger, but how obvious
Romano Rodriguez. And you're just like...
He just, like, is also clearly racist. Like, when he pulls up to him at the beginning of the movie, is, like, clearly just is being a racist and is trying to profile his kid. Like, why is that a thing? Why is the draft a thing?
Because it's
Vietnam.
It's Vietnam era.
Why?
Why is it part of the movie?
Oh.
Now that's
Like, why is Nixon...
That's the real question.
Why is Nixon a part of this? Why is draft dodging a part of this? Why is him being a Mexican, like, a big deal?
To try to make conflict that isn't the book, but the only conflict in the movie is the book.
They added, but they already added non-book stuff. They added this, like, the spooky, like, overarching plot line. The
girl who write the books, the framing story.
The frame story, yeah.
Which the framing story, as an idea, I don't think is bad. It's just not well executed at any time.
Horribly executed.
Yeah.
Just like that movie.
The plot, the framing story is that this girl, really young adult, I mean, she looks fucking 30 with the makeup on when you finally see her.
She looks like a drag queen.
She does look like a man.
I thought
she looks like a drag queen.
I think she might have been played by a man.
Like a really clockable drag queen.
I need to look this up now and see if it's actually a...
Put your goddamn phone away. We're recording a goddamn podcast.
I am finding out if this is
He's finding pertinent information. But, so the framing story is that she's albino, right? That's...
Yeah.
She is, scorned by her very wealthy family who owns and runs the mill. The paper mill?
But first time in history somebody has been scorned for being too white. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's your life.
But and they would like hide her in this room kind of behind the walls, and kids would come and she would tell them scary stories through the walls, but they never saw her. Like, no one really knows what she looks like. There's no pictures of her. So now the house has been, like, abandoned, and it's supposed to be haunted, and of course it's on a Halloween night when the thing opens. And honestly, I love, like, chaotic Halloween energy in any movie. Like, from the beginning of this movie, I was like, cool, Halloween night, let's destroy shit. I love it. I love that energy.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of doesn't go well in any way from there.
It just doesn't really go anyway. It's just kind of a weird framing story for, like, all these stories to exist in the universe and play out. But, like,
I don't see what was wrong with the idea of just doing an anthology. I know anthologies aren't, like, popular. It is a woman. Well, I assume.
Kathleen Pollard.
Who is actually pretty outside of makeup. Oh, she has a prominent chin. That's probably why.
Yeah.
She's pretty, though. Excluding, like, the awful makeup they put on. The cake makeup they did.
God, and the weird CG of, like, you're seeing her bones and, like it's half X-ray vision. It's like if there's a light switch and you're just kind of flickering the light switch for X-ray vision, and that's happening, and you're just
everybody knows that ghosts have trouble keeping their bones inside them.
Why does she have bones?
They're ghost bones.
That's not a thing normally.
It's heckin' spooky. Alright, so let's address, like, the biggest problem with this movie is that is it a kids movie? Because obviously it's not. It's like really,
PG-13.
it's really fucked up. And
I jumped several times. I am an easy jumper, but I jumped several times. A little child and their mother walked by us in the theater at one point, and I was
a 6-year-old kid.
Way too young. It was also like it was a 7 o'clock showing, but that means that the movie got out at like 9. And I know it's summer, but you should not be in this theater.
But the movie is like structured exactly like a Goosebumps movie, like for kids.
Yeah, it has the vibe. It's supposed to be a kid's horror movie, like 12, 13-year-old.
To see the fucked up things in this, you really should be like a teenager.
Which is why PG-13 makes sense.
Perfect opportunity for a teen movie, but it's so not. It's so structured like it's like supposed to be a kids movie.
Or like they could have made it actually really fucked up and have been an adult movie,
which I'd be really here for.
Yeah. Because no kids nowadays know what the fuck scary stories to tell in the dark is, because that book isn't like a thing that's common.
I mean, that was
anymore.
That was around when we were kids.
Yeah, but you're 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
It was a thing for you too, or no?
Yeah, just because it was like in the bookshelf, but I remember the printing date. It was like really old and fucked up. So like, I think it's because I know that my teacher had a son that was like
our age.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because at the Alamo, we went to go see it at the Alamo. They show like cool shit before the movie starts, and part of that was that like this book was banned in some schools and stuff like that.
As well, it
libraries.
should be.
It was fucked up
you should
book.
never ban
a 7-year-old should not from schools, not from libraries. A 7-year-old should not be able to open it up and see that art.
But like a 10-year-old, I read it in 3rd grade. You read it in 3rd grade too, right, Ian?
Probably.
Like
I read it in 3rd grade.
Yeah, so like we're all fine.
Well, don't lie to yourself.
But like that book scared the shit out of me and all that stuff. But I don't feel like I was ever traumatized by that book any more than I was by other dumb shit.
I'm not agreeing that they should be banned from schools, but I can totally see why.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a big fat vape rip over us talking?
Absolutely not.
Rude AF.
White people.
But I still think this movie should have been an anthology. The same crowd of our people would have shown up for it because the book's an anthology, and I don't know. I like short horror films, and I wouldn't be mad to see a bunch of them done well with stories I know.
Like ABC's Death style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been okay.
Yeah. Like,
was ABC's of Death good though?
No, absolutely not.
No. But
it was more tolerable than this because it was just a clusterfuck of directors doing tiny little short films, and like you know what you're getting into. This was us like walking into and paying for a real movie and then getting a hot pile of garbage.
Do we not have any idea how involved Guillermo was with this movie?
I think he helped write the screenplay, and then I think he also produced it, is my understanding. Erich is looking it up.
Yeah, so when we're halfway through our next conversation, I'll come in with that answer.
That's fine.
Yep.
Do you remember the stories that happened in the book, or in the movie, from the book? Like the main ones? Because I don't.
I remember a few of them. I remember seeing that, like, the fat girl, like, fat thing with a really wide smile. I don't remember that. I don't remember that story though.
Doe woman, yeah.
It's fucking terrifying. By the way, I think that was maybe visually the scariest as far as just looking at it. But the Jenga Man is definitely the scariest for me from the film because I hate like people crawling or walking weirdly on all fours. It really fucks me up. I hate it.
I thought the Jenga Man was one of the less scary ones. And the CG for that one was a little weird, right?
It was bad. It was way worse.
Yeah, compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like overall. I don't know. Maybe just like the coloring or the lighting was off or something.
Something needed to be tweaked, and it wasn't.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro did the screenplay.
Yeah.
With 2 other people, he is like. He probably just he helped out to put his name there.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
I mean, that probably helps.
That conversation we were in the middle of.
Him putting his name on that probably helped the film get made, which is probably why he did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he probably really liked the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good book.
But yeah, the Jenga Man fucks me up the most because that's just like the thing that freaks me out in anything. that kind of shit does. It fucks me up. The Doe Woman is visually, I think, the creepiest. And then...
What was the story that was tied
for the Doe... Yeah, that one felt really, really thrown in. I don't remember any of the stories.
I remember all the other ones. I remember as a kid, Harold scared me for some reason. I think it's because it was like the longest one.
Which one is Harold?
That's the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
And
I think that's the only one I really vaguely remember.
Who looks a lot like he does in the
the art. Yeah, he was very true to the art. I was like, that's cool.
So was the Doe Woman, right?
I don't remember the Doe Woman,
but I remember seeing like an image.
She looks
from it.
just like the image from the book.
Oh, okay.
They got those really right. I don't remember Jankoman well enough to judge that. But like the story I remember the most is the girl with like the ribbon around her neck, and when you take it off, her head falls off.
You've brought this up before
because it's my favorite story. I love that story still, and I'm kind of sad we didn't get it.
Do you think the part of her witch costume was putting the red lipstick on her neck? Do you think that was a reference to that story?
I do.
Probably, yeah.
Because it was a red ribbon, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, which made me happy. And again, I kind of really love the opening because I kind of just love the like energy of Halloween shit.
No, there was a lot of good things that happened in that bad movie.
I agree.
Yeah, and weird setup for a sequel.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, we were goofing on the way to the movie that it was like setting up for the Scary Stories cinematic universe.
And here we...
And then they end on like a not a cliffhanger, but like a setup for another movie.
Yeah, like we will find them because we know that they're not gonna be... that they're not really dead.
Why? What? First of all, what makes them think they're not really dead?
I don't know.
Are they going to... If they find the two guys, Augie and Chuck, does that mean that all the kids that she killed are not really dead and they come back as children, or they come back as grown-ups?
We'll never know because that sequel's never going to get made.
Yeah, that's not going to get made.
And quite
frankly, I sure hope it does. So I can.
I really hope it's. I hope it's a direct to VHS movie.
We'd have to buy a VHS player because I'm definitely seeing it if it comes out.
Holy shit!
I just
want that. I want the sequel right now.
I need to watch more hot garbage about scary stories to tell in the dark. I think, the Red Room thing is the worst handled as far as, like, the story. Because just, like, one scene before the Red Room thing happens, he's like, I had that dream of it again. Blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about this on the porch of someone else's house for a minute while we wait for them to answer the door. And then, like, 2 scenes later, it happens. And, like, why? You didn't set this up.
Yeah.
You didn't
because like the rest of it is like, oh, it's a story that like fucked me up when I was a kid, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, because the Jenga Man was, Romano, is that his name? I don't know.
I don't think it was Ray Romano. No.
Whatever.
Romeo. Let's call him Romeo.
Romeo. It was Romeo's. He was like, it was a campfire story. Scared me as a kid, and you're like, okay. Same with the big toe boy, woman.
Yeah.
And it was like, my dad used to tell me that. And then with Harold, it was like, Tommy always hated that goddamn scarecrow.
I actually kind of like the way that one was set up.
The scarecrow was legitimately set up in a way nothing else was.
Like, that would have worked in an anthology because it had, like, a narration that was, like, directly lifted from the text of the book.
Mm-hmm. I think we all agree on that.
Alright, do we have anything else to say about this movie?
I think we should talk about the little segments and shit like that real quick.
Go on. The
Scarecrow is handled really well.
So like each story on its own?
Just for a second. So like, the Scarecrow is handled really well because you get actual foreshadowing. That makes a lot more sense. He lives within this place where the Scarecrow is. It's gross as fuck. There's cockroaches coming out of its face. I get it. Yeah. And I don't know why he hates it, but I get it.
And that one like fits into the story well, and it's a nice little twist on the main story where you're actually, like, because in the written story, this shit just happens to some random kid, but in this one, you have the context of wanting him to fucking die.
Yeah, killing the bully off after him being a dick, and then literally painting wet back on Romeo's car.
How is that the most upsetting thing? Like, they would have all died in that room.
Yeah. If
Yeah, you're right. No, I guess, you're right. You're right. Teenagers are awful.
They would have all been dead.
They it literally would have been a murder of 5 people.
So Tommy, the asshole who's afraid of the Scarecrow, like, locks them into the secret room that the writer girl was kept in, and like they couldn't. There's no way out. they would have died.
Yeah, definitely would have died.
And then the ghost writer girl, like, lets them out, but then continues to kill them all, which I don't understand her motivation. Like, I understand her motivation for Tommy.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't get it.
I don't know the motivation for, like, half of that film.
That's fair.
Yeah, why does anybody do anything?
Why does she take the book? That makes sense. She's a writer. She's interested. I would do the same, probably.
Oh, yeah, I would totally, like, take cool things that I found in, like, a abandoned house.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody would do that.
And we've all seen horror movies to learn that we shouldn't, but we all still will.
But these are not real-life lessons.
Going to the abandoned asylum, I took a little key I found.
You're a thief.
Now you can get into any of those asylum rooms if you ever want.
Yeah.
Are they any actually locked?
No. It was just like a random key I found like in the basement.
Oh, why would you?
Was it even a cool key, or is it just like a standard modern key?
No, it was like a cool old key.
Nah, cool.
Very nice. All right, what other stories were in the movie?
Okay, so then we have the guy who eats... First of all, why would you eat a stew when you're on the phone with your mother, your parents are out of town, and you're like, hey, no, whatever, it's cool. I'm just going to eat this stew you left me. And she's like, what stew? And he's like, bye. And then he eats it cold.
Yeah, cold stew.
It's almost like you've never been a teenager.
I never ate cold stew. I'm also not eating something that I don't know where the fuck it came from in my own house where my parents are saying, I don't know what stew you're talking about.
You don't think that would happen? Like,
you obviously did not live with them, bro.
Yeah, like...
My parents don't keep leftovers.
What's more likely? Your parents forgot that they have a stew in the fridge, or it's a fucking ghost stew?
In my house, it's a ghost stew. In your house, it's that they forgot.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I guess so.
My parents don't make much from scratch, and if they did, they certainly wouldn't fucking forget about it.
Even then, I still think ghost stew is pretty unlikely.
Maybe.
Or, like, it could just be a goof like that, because then you have, like, the girl and Romeo,
I think, actually.
Like, walking them. It's like, don't fucking eat anything, bro! And...
Like, panic.
As he's eating.
And he's like, oh, fuck you guys.
Taking massive bites. Taking bites big enough to eat that human toe, which was, like, really large, right? Even for a toe? It felt...
Yeah, toes are pretty fucking big.
It felt really long,
felt really
too.
big for a toe, though.
No, it felt bigger than your toe, even, Ian.
I don't think so.
I think it did. And it
Can
was
that
gross.
toe fill up a whole mouth? Because in the movie, the toe
it's like the
filled his
whole mouth. It's disgusting.
I mean, it was pretty big, yeah.
It was huge and black and gross and toenails. And also, like, who doesn't look... I know
But
it's a
they're like
stew, but who doesn't look at your food at all while you're eating? There's an eyeball in that stew, too.
That he never addresses. He's like, dude, there was a toe in the stew.
Well, he ate the toe. He didn't eat the eyeball.
I saw you look down and see that there was an eyeball on that guy. Like, there wasn't just a toe in there, you doofus.
Well, toes... He ate the toe. That's clearly the most upsetting part for him.
Yes. Yeah. But...
I feel like I probably would have been more upset about the toe than the eyeball.
In the situation,
I know he's more upset about it, but he was implying that, like...
There was just a toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And then... And he gets disappeared and killed off really quickly, which feels unfair, but I think they did it because they really want the romance between Stella and Romeo.
Which is still the worst shit on the planet.
Which is still awful, but he also liked her as well as the other guy's Chuck's sister. He just liked every girl, didn't he?
Yeah, and he got called out on it.
Yeah. You know what? Good job, Chuck. I thought you were kind of a jerk.
Chuck was annoying.
Chuck was annoying, but Chuck was not wrong.
No.
Chuck was right to be afraid. Chuck was right to, like, fucking... call him out, his friend out for being just, like, literally trying to hit on Mac on every girl he met. Like,
been a teenage boy before?
No. But just,
it's pretty average. They portrayed being a teenage boy with that pretty well.
But just, like, your female really good friend, your, like, fucking best friend's older sister.
Well, I could say, like, female best friend. I'm like, okay, I can understand that.
Like, why he shouldn't Mac on her? Or why he would?
Like, why he would have a crush on his female best friend?
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't Mac on Stella. Yeah. He's not creepy around her.
No, he's just like, I got a crush on
He's not macking on anybody.
He's kind of macking on Ruthie when she's got all the stuff on. Like,
for half a second.
I know, but then Chuck's like, can you fucking chill your boner out so we can try and get out of this fucking hellhole?
Stop it. Stop.
I really liked Augie, and then I was like, oh. And then he died, and I was like, well, I guess we all forgot about him anyway.
Speaking of forgetting, What fucking other stories are in that?
Ruthie has the spiders come out of her face, which is honestly, again, one of my triggers.
I remember that story as well.
I remember that story too. In the movie, that one seemed probably the most ham-fisted.
Yeah.
It's like her character was introduced just so she could have the spider story happen.
Yeah, because it's like her whole thing is being really vain. And that feels unfair to her. Poor Ruthie. But, like, I don't know. I just remember the story
There are only like 6 stories in it, so I forgot.
There were like 4, and then the overarching story, right?
I think there was more than 4. All right,
No,
so there's
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow.
Spiders.
Red Room.
Doe Lady.
Which is Red Room.
That's Red Room.
Oh.
Jenga Man.
Jenga Man.
Haunted House, which is like right at the end, which is overarching.
Yeah,
also.
so technically 5.
Yeah, 5. Okay.
What did I
that's
say?
4.
Like bullshit.
So I was kind of right if you could over the frame story. In what way can I be right? How can we adjust this so
If
I'm
we
still
just
right?
changed what actually happened, I am right.
Yeah.
You just go back and edit the movie, I would be right.
That would be great. I mean, honestly, it could use editing.
Actually, not a bad idea.
It's like, it's not even 2 hours. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, and it's still somehow too long. And also too short because there's not enough foreshadowing and build-up.
Yeah.
It's just not done well. In most ways. The CGI for the Scarecrow is good. It's really good for the Doe Lady. It's really off for the Jenga Man. It's really bad for the main villain girl, Ghost Lady.
It's probably the worst one.
You know, I don't know if it was good for the Doe Lady because she looked like Doe, but I don't think she was supposed to look like Doe. I think.
Don't we call her the Doe Lady for a reason?
We made that up.
I thought it was in the book.
No, it was just it was just a fat pale lady.
She's so creepy. Her face, her eyes are so weird.
I actually thought it was
apart.
fun. I actually liked the way they did the CGI on that one because it looked
like the drawing.
It didn't look realistic for sure.
Yeah.
It was neither realistic nor cartoony. It was just kind of like unsettling looking.
Uncanny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I thought it was perfectly fine, honestly.
Yeah. I liked Chuck. The scene with the Red Room though, where she's like every time he like turns around to run away, she's there. That lasted for way too long.
That was really
so drawn out.
Yeah, that did happen like
15 fucking times. He turned around.
A lot of times. Yeah.
I think they were trying to be like, let's make this really like intense, and then everything like, oh, she's always going to be there, but they took it way too far.
They just kept doing it, and I guess I get that she moves slow, but horror movies can make slow things move real fucking fast when they need to, and they could have done that. Just a couple of cuts, make it a lot faster and a lot scarier, because your fear can only like stay sustained for so long.
Yeah, it was like a 3-minute long scene.
It's way too long for him to be doing the same goddamn thing for 3 minutes.
And in my mind, that still is the best short one in the movie. I still think that's the best one, and that's because the bar is so fucking low.
Scarecrow. Scarecrow's the best one.
No.
Wait. Visually or like whole story?
Just overall.
Oh, no. Scarecrow.
Meh.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, I guess that would maybe be second place.
Ian's is Doe Lady. Eric, do you have are you on Doe Lady team?
I thought Doe Lady was bad.
I mean, none of them are good.
No, I mean, like, I really didn't like Doe Lady. Watching the trailer is fucking me over because I remember in the trailer I was like, oh, Big Toe one that's gonna be really creepy, and it was not in the slightest.
And it was over very quickly.
Yeah, so I guess I have to say Scarecrow, but I'm not really like with it at all. Also, I feel like I'm still missing one of them.
I swear to God, we probably are.
We're not missing any of them, but I feel like we are.
There was only.
There's only 5 characters.
There are 5 characters, and each one had
Tommy. Tommy had a story too.
Yeah, but Tommy's one of the 5. The Augie, Chuck, Stella, Romeo / Ramon, Tommy,
and the girl and Ruth.
Ruth, there's 6.
There's 6 stories.
But Stella didn't get one, so that's 5.
Oh, she got the fucking.
She got the haunted house.
Yeah, ghost house.
But yeah,
Are there any other stories that we didn't cover out of those?
I don't.
Ian just wants to be done with this.
I want to take a big sip of Listerine, cleanse my mouth of this fucking bullshit.
Okay, so we always end it then, if we're done. What do you rate it out of 10?
If you go to the theater, like 1. Like, do not go watch, do not pay money for this. If you are with a group of people, it is very much The Room territory of it's so bad, it's funny to just what the fuck is that? And
I disagree.
I will say, though, there were times where we all kind of looked at each other and we did laugh at times where it was not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, but I don't think it's bad enough to be on The Room level to be enjoyable for that reason. I think it's just unenjoyable all the way through. It's not bad enough to be enjoyable because it's bad, and it's definitely not good enough to be enjoyable because it's good.
I don't think it's good bad, but I think it's if you have a group of friends that you do want to take the piss out of the movie with and drink and fucking talk over it and then just look at them and be like, "Look at this fucking shit!" That's good. I'm with Eric on that side.
I guess. All right, so final
one for you. You can put a 1.
1 or 5.
5 for with friends, and you have that environment.
Yeah.
Okay. And
4 out of 10.
Okay. I think I'm definitely kind of between the 4 and 4.5 because it's a slightly below average film. Probably, we don't watch a lot of the kind of riffraff that comes out, but there's good shit in it. But you don't need to sit through all the terrible shit. The good shit is not worth the terrible shit you have to wade through. Definitely, I agree with Eric. You should not go to the theater and see it.
Any of the good shit that's in the movie, I don't think a single thing was original that has not been done in other movies.
I agree.
A single good part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
I think Eric is right in that the best sense is to kind of see it with friends, especially if you all read the book and you can kind of chat about the book and have dumb reminiscing stuff. That would be really fun. So that's our first episode of a couple of reviews. Thanks for listening. We also have an Instagram, and hopefully maybe even a Facebook and a Twitter. Thanks.